Hello everyone, welcome to Freddy Cooks International Soul Food. Today we're cooking spaghetti and you're going to want to stay tuned for this one. This is one rich, hearty, flavorful, and delicious meal that everyone in the family can enjoy. I'm sure everyone have their favorite spaghetti recipes, and rightfully so. This is such a great dish to make for everyone. But I just hope you will stay tuned so that I can share this wonderful recipe with you. Also, we're going to be testing out some spicy Sicilian Italian style meatballs. So, are you ready? Then let's get started. First, we're going to brown 1.5 pounds of ground beef in an extra large pan, and we're going to drain all of the grease off. Next, we're going to add a whole medium onion and green bell pepper chopped. We're also going to add a teaspoon of minced garlic. Oh, but don't you worry, my garlic lovers. We're actually going to be adding fresh garlic later on in this process. Now, because I don't want my meat to dry out, I want to keep it moist, I'm adding just a little spaghetti sauce from the can into the pan. I'm not ready to add all of my sauce yet. So let's add a 10-ounce can of Rotel, diced tomatoes, and green chilies. We're going to add a small can of mushrooms, but if you don't like mushrooms, then you don't have to use them. You really would barely be able to tell that they're in there. It just adds another level of chunkiness and meatiness and heartiness to your sauce. If you love mushrooms, then you definitely want to make sure you get them in there. We're also going to be using about a tablespoon of ketchup, and that pack came from a HelloFresh kit. I found it while I was actually gathering my ingredients, so that's why I'm using that. You're going to add a teaspoon of salt, but salt is always to taste. It's up to you how much you want to use. Right now we're using a teaspoon of salt if you want to follow this recipe as it is. Teaspoon of salt. And that is before we add the sauce. We will re-season when we add our sauce. We're adding black pepper, that's a teaspoon there, approximate. We're adding a teaspoon of garlic powder, and we also will be adding a teaspoon of onion powder. We'll add a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and this is a must. We're adding a half teaspoon of dried basil. And we're also adding a half teaspoon of dried oregano. Now, of course, we could have made all of this fresh and used freshly chopped green herbs, but we didn't have time to go to the garden today. We're just going to take this generic recipe, and if you want to kick it up a notch, then we'll do that at another time. We're adding some Cajun seasoning, 1 teaspoon. I am using Tony's. Now it's time to bring this sauce together. We're going to use a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. The tomato paste is going to help thicken our sauce. It's also going to add a rich flavor. Once you've emptied the can, you're going to want to refill your tomato paste can 3 times with water and add it. Something that I forgot to tell you earlier is that I always drain all of the liquid off of my canned vegetables before I add them. Only because canned goods tend to have a lot of sodium as it is, and it's my way in my mind of eliminating extra or additional sodium since I'm adding my own sodium. And we're adding the water so that the sauce is not too rich. It's going to be rich enough as it is from the tomato paste. You may find that it's going to be too rich if you don't add that water. Okay, I want you to get a good look at this vegetable recipe mix by Noir. Now, this is one of my secret ingredients and I'm letting you in, hipping you to the game. This is basically dehydrated vegetable and seasonings. You can use it in so many different dishes, a variety of dishes like spinach dip, different cold salads and pastas, soups, spaghetti, chili, and it's on the soup aisle next to the bouillon stuff. So we're going to be adding that. Now we're adding 24-ounce can of pasta sauce. Here I'm using the garlic and herb. You can use whatever different flavors or even no flavor. We have enough flavor in here already, but why not just pack and add on the flavor? So we got a 24-ounce of pasta sauce. We're actually going to use 2 of those. Sauce, we're going to re-season with all of the seasonings that we used before. We're using this time a half teaspoon of each. Half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of basil, Italian seasoning, oregano, and pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. Don't forget your Cajun seasoning as well. Just a half a teaspoon. That should do it. However, after this simmers for a while and you feel that you need more seasonings, then you can add if you need it. Normally I like my spaghetti spicy, but I tried to back off the spice this time. I am adding about a half teaspoon, maybe that was about a teaspoon, half teaspoon of red pepper flakes. That's optional. If you want it spicy, you can kick it up a notch with about a half teaspoon of cayenne, but not necessarily. Everything don't have to be spicy all the time. I keep telling myself that. Cooking 101, you have to taste it. It's at this point where you decide what you need. Now, keep in mind, the more it simmers, the more the flavors come together. But it was at this point where I remember that I needed to add some sugar. And I know what you're thinking, don't nobody want no sweet spaghetti, but it won't be sweet. You just have to use a little sugar to balance out the flavors and to prevent the sauce from being too rich and too tart. After it simmers for a while, you may realize that it's still too tart and you may need to add a little bit more sugar. You be the judge of that. However, you will need at least a teaspoon of sugar for this amount of sauce. Trust me, just trust me. Okay, we're coming to the end of the sauce. Not very hard, not very difficult at all, but we are adding 2 bay leaves and we'll hide them in the sauce. And I'm also adding some fresh garlic, and I had some leftover bell pepper there, I just threw in there. So fresh garlic we're adding, and we're gonna cover. Definitely turn down the heat and let it simmer. You let it simmer as long as you want to. Technically, the sauce is quote unquote ready, but it's really not ready until it's simmered at least 30 minutes. You gotta give it at least 30 minutes to simmer. But I will leave that up to you. Alright, now that the sauce has simmered, we're going to get ready to eat. Gotta get my garlic bread ready for Freddy. Now, okay, here's something that I just do. You don't have to do this at all. Sometimes I cook my spaghetti and I keep it separate. I keep the noodles separate from the sauce. Sometimes I add the noodles and sauce together. This time I'm keeping them separately, but for my individual meal today, I am going to combine it, and this is just the process that I'm doing. I've already added my meatballs that I didn't show you how to prepare, but you just follow the directions on there. I didn't show you how to prepare the noodles. You follow the directions on the noodles and boil them. You really just need boiling water, and I put garlic powder in the boiling water. Let the water come to a boil first, and then you add your noodles. Once the noodles get all the way in the pot, you cover it and turn it down low for about 10-15 minutes, about 15 minutes at the most. Here we are adding my spaghetti noodles to the pan, and I'm going to add the sauce and do a little toss. Okay, like I said, you don't have to do this part. I'm just doing this for me. I'm making this for me. You do you, boo. But as you can see, I like a lot of sauce, and I want every single morsel, every single piece of my spaghetti noodle covered in sauce. And this is just the method that I use to make sure that it comes together like I want it. But I will encourage you, whoever you are out there, if you're looking for a new spaghetti recipe, or maybe you just want to take portions of mine and implement it for yourself, it's up to you. But I do thank you for joining me here at Freddy Cooks International. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, please comment, please share, all that good stuff. I'm going to let the video play out now, and until later, I love you.